Join the Stadium Journeys of Obstructed Views, the show where a couple of guys in a couple of countries have a couple of beers and discuss the stadium somewhere in the world and their experiences there. Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's been a little while. Good to see you. I'm Paul,
I'm Dave.
and we're excited to be back here with you tonight after our long and luxurious hiatus.
Luxurious.
Well, maybe not so luxurious. Hey, I've got all new equipment here. I am living the life of Riley here. Little backstory for Christmas, my daughter and son-in-law got me all this fancy podcasting equipment that I never had before. And what did we do? We stopped recording all the podcasts. What's that old fable? The gift of the Magi.
Gift of the Magi. Oh, Henry. Yeah.
Well, anyway, before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube channel. Hey, there's a reason to go back there now. Like the video. Feel free to comment, participate in the discussion, and check out, as always, stadiumjourney.com for all of our fantastic content. So let's get started. Dave, you having a beer? What are you drinking today?
I am having a beer. It's been a bit. So I recently, actually not even that recently, but I did take a trip out to the east coast of Canada, and one of my favorite spots, and I don't think you've been there, Paul, but this has got to be kind of on your to-do list. Not a huge sports destination, but just a great place to be is Prince Edward Island.
Absolutely.
Just a small town feel. Like you could drive the whole island in like 3 hours or something like that. So
So
when we
Prince
were in
Edward Island is like Rhode Island.
maybe is Rhode Island even an island?
There is a Rhode Island in Rhode Island. Yes.
Okay. But one of the things that we did when we were in Prince Edward Island is we took in a brewery tour, which is always fun, especially in the winters because I was there in the wintertime. And in Charlottetown, it's very much a summer kind of destination. And there's a ton of stuff that we could have done had we been there quite a few months later. But anyway, we did the Prince Edward Island brewery tour. And I mean, it was great. It was just my buddy and myself and the tour guide. And that poor girl, man, because it was just such a small group, I just peppered her with questions. Like everything from the most minute thing to the simplest thing. So anyway, of course, you go on a brewery tour, you got to pick up some of the wares and bring them back with you. Didn't have to cross the border from the States to Canada, so that's even better. Don't have to worry about declaring anything when you're just going across the province. So I have
So you
a
bought a keg.
no keg, a Gahan Island Red, premium red ale, and it's really good. Reminds me of a Rickard's Red kind of deal. Sometimes anytime you get something that says ale, I think you're in the same boat. You get that kind of IPA. It's way too hoppy. It's like way too bitter, and it's like, ugh. But this is really good, nice and smooth. So anyway, what do you got?
All right. So let's see. Where do I start with today's beer? There's a good story behind it. Much like you, I picked up mine on a brewery tour. It was a very special event. And my beer, we're recording this during the middle of the Stanley Cup Finals, so this is a very timely brew as well. So the NHL trade deadline was when? January? February? Anyway, I picked up this beer 2 days after the trade deadline. Sam Adams in Boston, the biggest microbrewery in Boston. Can it still be a microbrewery if it's as big as it is? I don't know.
That's a
Anyway,
good question.
yeah. At what point do you stop being a microbrewery? But anyway, they did a beer in conjunction with the Celtics after they won the title last year, and they had Derek White. They branded a beer after him. It was Derek White Ale, the white ale, like an Allagash kind of thing. Very nice, very nice. It was actually really good. And they had a big grand unveiling party, and they had Derek White come in and did the thing. And then they did one with the Bruins this winter too, and their subject was Brad Marchand. And we all know what happened. He got traded at the trade deadline. But that didn't stop Sam Adams from putting out the Marshandy. So those of you who are not familiar with a shandy, shandy is usually like a mixture of a beer and an iced tea or something like that. The Sam Adams Marshandy is not that. It's kind of a cherry beer. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. It kind of tastes like it's a Marchand beer. It's got like a bitter taste to it. So, not my favorite. If you're in the mood for some laughs, go on YouTube and look up the commercial for the Marchand beer. It's hilarious. It's basically Brad Marchand going around the Sam Adams Brewery causing chaos everywhere with my cousin from Boston there, whatever his name is. But my buddy Ben, and if you're a loyal watcher of Obstructive Views, I talk about Ben a lot. Ben is a huge beer guy. He's the guy who's been to every brew pub in the state of New Hampshire. That's where he lives now. So he was able to get us passes to the opening of the Marshandy. And since Brad got traded, he was not able to be there. So that was kind of a downer. But Ben and his girlfriend and Pam and myself were there, took the tour, picked up a whole crap ton of Marshandies, and we've been passing them out and drinking them ever since. So that is my beer today, the Marshandy. If we are visiting today's destination, we might be drinking a Line Drive Lager from Great North Ale Works in Manchester, New Hampshire. Why do they call it the Line Drive Lager? Well, it is the official beer. Well, you know how we talk about every team now has their own branded beer. Line Drive Lager is the branded beer of today's subject, and also the street name of Delta Dental Stadium in Manchester, New Hampshire. That was a long way to go to get to that point. Home of the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the stadium vitals. Okay, so we're talking about a stadium that their name just rolls right off the tongue. Some ballparks have these smooth sounding names that just roll off the tongue, or that lend themselves to nice, catchy nicknames. The ballpark in Manchester's never had that. It started off for 1 year. It was Fisher Cats Park or Fisher Cat Stadium. Nice enough, but then it went into the corporate world. So first it was merchantsauto.com Stadium. What are you gonna do with that? But it gets worse. Then Northeast Delta Dental Stadium, and now that's been shortened to just Delta Dental Stadium.
Yes.
Sometimes they call it the Tooth.
Yes.
Luckily, not often.
I think they only call it the Tooth on the banner that says it's the Tooth.
Well, welcome to the Tooth. There is a giant tooth that hangs over near the entrance, but that's about it. But anyway, I digress. I just think it's a clunky name anyway. So we got a Toronto Blue Jays AA affiliate located just an hour away from Fenway Park. So how do you draw Red Sox fans to a Blue Jays affiliate? You got to work a whole lot harder, right? And the ballpark itself is not really the draw. It's kind of a plain-ish ballpark, not a lot of special features. Yet it has outlasted one of the more highly acclaimed low A ballparks right up the road, maybe half an hour to 40 minutes away in Lowell, LaLasher Park, which was always one of the crown jewels of the short season park. And when the minor leagues were contracted, there was a lot of rumblings that LaLasher would survive because of how much it was loved. It didn't. Delta Dental beat them out. And located about 20 miles away in Nashua is a very historic ballpark, Holman Stadium, which was the site of the first integrated team in the United States. A little history lesson for you there. The Nashua Dodgers. Before Jackie Robinson played for Brooklyn, Roy Campanella and Don Newscomb played in Nashua for a year. So a little trivia there. But the ballpark, the Tooth, has outlasted all these ballparks right in the shadows of Fenway Park. How are they doing it?
Well, I think I can think of two things. So we talked on the old Stadium Journey podcast before a few times about what aspects made a ballpark, make the cut and stick around and not get the purge. And I think one of the things we agreed on is it's not necessarily what we see as fans, but what's underneath, what's in the bones, the clubhouse, therapy room, the kitchen, all those kinds of things. And I don't know for sure because I can't say I've toured Delta Dental Stadium or anything like that, but I think it's probably part of that, especially when you're talking about the Nashua one, which was really old. The
Right.
infrastructure probably
Oh
not
yeah.
there.
No, I mean that's not even up to minor league standards. Not
Yeah,
at all. I'm not even inferring that, but the fact that it's so close and so historic, just wanted to mention it.
but hey, let's be real. Um, Even if you're in a minor league baseball, it sure helps to win, doesn't it? And the first year that the Fisher Cats were there, like, no, I guess they moved in '03.
They played their first year in Gill Stadium,
In Gill Stadium. Yes, I
which
saw that.
is a football stadium. Actually,
Yeah,
it was really a strange setup. I went to a game there the first year.
it's kind of a funny one. But I mean, they won. They won the
Yeah.
championship in '04,
Yes.
right? And well, you know what? With minor league parks, one of the things I like to do is I like to look at who the alumni is, and because they haven't been around that long, you have
20 years. This is their 20th season.
but relatively speaking,
Yeah.
you're looking at like the big names are current big name Blue Jay guys, right? So they had a big display there when I was there about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette and Kevin Biggio,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, they
they
came up at the same time a few years back. Yeah.
yeah, um, and you know they took the next step. They played Buffalo after that, and then you know they made it to the Jays. When they won, their manager was John Schneider, who's the current manager of the Jays. So I think that helps to start. It lays a good foundation, right? Uh, that ballpark I thought was funny. It made some claims that I was like, I don't think so. Like Welcome to the Tooth. Like I can't say I know anybody in New Hampshire, but I can't imagine people are saying, "Hey, let's go down to the Tooth tonight and catch the
Trying
Fisher Cats."
trying to give it a catchy name. It's just not catching. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, on that same banner, they referred to Delta Dental Stadium as the best AA ballpark in the world. And I had a little bit of I take a little bit of issue with that. Hey, I guess you got to admire their moxie, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't find it didn't wow
Well,
me, that's for sure.
there's only three AA ballparks in all of New England, and it's not even the top one in New England.
Yeah, probably not. Um,
It might not even be in the top two.
I mean, the what jumps out at me about that stadium itself is it just feels like, well, we've got this footprint, and we're going to wedge this stadium in there. Footprint's probably not big enough, but we're going to wedge the stadium in there anyway. Uh, it might not be an exactly single entry ballpark, but it sure feels like a single entry ballpark.
I've been there. I think we just went there just not this past week and the weekend before, so about 10 days ago, as we're filming this
Mhm.
in June. So it was our 14th trip. We actually my 14th trip with Pam. So personally, it's probably about my 16th or 17th trip there. I have only ever come in deep left
Left
field.
field.
I don't even know if there's another way to come in. Maybe
I don't
behind home plate for season ticket holders or something.
behind home plate. If you have a look at the map, behind home plate is piles of dirt and tractors and all that kind of stuff. It is definitely not a welcoming area. So I really feel like you're only entering from
Yeah.
left field.
The funny thing about that park is it's built right on the river, right on the Merrimack River, but you really wouldn't know it because it's built facing away from the river.
Yes,
The river is kind of behind the ballpark. You can smell the river. It's not a good smell. Um, Interesting thing about the site where they built the ballpark is it's the old Sargent Stadium, which was back in the day, it was an old soccer stadium and fairgrounds for the city. And it's a bunch of bricks and concrete and stuff from an old hospital are buried there. I guess it was an old toxic waste dump too. But um, those bricks and that toxic waste was from the deadliest outbreak of anthrax in the United States history.
oh my.
So yeah. So I don't know how long anthrax lives underground or whatever, but I don't. There has been no anthrax or anything like that noted. It's
Yeah.
not like the old Veteran Stadium in Philly where all the players have gotten cancer from playing
Ew.
there. Nothing like that's happened. But yeah, the defining features of this ballpark really don't have anything to do with the ballpark. It's really the hotel, the
Hmm.
Hilton Garden Inn, that's in left beyond left center field, and the Sam Adams Brew House, which is by the entrance when you first come into the ballpark.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean if you look at it from above from the map you're like, "Oh wow, so the river's right there." There's a little bit of a river walk which I didn't really walk and it's very covered. It's like you're right in the trees there. So that's probably why you don't really notice the river as well is that there's lots of trees covering it. And then on the other side there's like a train tracks, not quite a rail yard, but so yeah, it felt really well wedged in.
Remind me to tell you a story about those train tracks.
The left field um, line drive comes in and it's like a cul-de-sac, right? And it's got a
Yeah,
cute little baseball in the middle, which is fine. But I don't know. Wow, you've been there a ton of times. It was definitely not anywhere close to being full when I went. And I was like, wow, this must be awful to get into if it's full.
it is. It has gotten better since they built the big parking garage right next to the ballpark. That has really helped. But yeah, back in the day, when it first opened, it was all just surface lots, all lined up along Line Drive. And so your best bet was always to park farther out near Granite Street, which is the main access that will go up the hill and into downtown. Downtown Manchester is not far, it's only half a mile away to a mile away. Lots of good bars, restaurants, breweries, and stuff like that there, including SNHU Arena, where the Monarchs used to play. And rumor has it, Quebec, LMQ, what are the initials now? Quebec,
QMJHL.
yeah, Quebec Junior League hockey team is reportedly coming there soon. Anyway, yeah, that stuff is not all. It's just not far away, but the ballpark is kind of segregated down by the river. Um, but yeah, it used to be that you'd park out by Granite Street because it was so hard to get out from the ballpark because you had to wait for everybody else to clear out because it's only one way. Well, like you said, one street in, one street out.
The
So
the
my story.
exterior's got kind of that corrugated tin stuff, aluminum, whatever, that I don't really care for. Um,
Oh, that's right. I always thought of it as like a brick ballpark, but you're right. You know why I think of it as a brick ballpark? Because of the Hilton next to it. Because
yep.
that's the big edifice, the big defining feature is that it's not a huge hotel. It's 6, 7, 8 stories maybe.
You know what else I thought that was kind of interesting is it's a Hilton, and how many people would be like, I'm going down to catch minor league baseball in Manchester are going to stay at the Hilton. I mean, I could, I guess, but I would never stay at a Hilton. I just think they're too expensive.
Some of the rooms do overlook the field.
Yep.
And there is a giant patio. If you're a guest of the hotel, you can hang on the patio if your room doesn't overlook it and watch the game from there. If you're a guest and you don't have to get a ticket. I actually did stay in a room one time overlooking the field. Unfortunately, we stayed there in November. We went up and caught a Monarchs game, and so we were like, it's a third of a mile up to the hockey arena. Let's walk. Of course, it was Pam's birthday. It was end of November. It was before Thanksgiving. Of course, ice storm. So no problem. We took the shuttle up the hill, got into the game, no problem. Way back, we're like, that was 3 blocks. Let's just walk down the hill. We decided to not just go straight down Granite Street for whatever stupid reason. Blame me for that one. We decided to try to zigzag, like, yeah, we can go this way and just get right to the hotel and don't have to go down and around. Didn't work. Didn't work. We ran into so many fences and blocks, and then we ran into the train tracks, and you couldn't cross the train tracks, so we had to backtrack, go through a grocery store, cross a couple parking lots, and we were trekking through ice that night, so it was just a disaster. But that's my Hilton story.
Huh.
A 5 minute walk or a 10 minute walk took us an hour.
I did find something that was there that was a little ironic. So I always take an interest in the retired numbers. Yeah, you get a sense of who's who, right? And
None of them played for the team.
of course, you've got Jackie Robinson. Everybody retires Jackie
Yep.
Robinson. They have 83
Local policeman.
for Michael Briggs, who was a police officer who was
Yep.
killed in the line of duty, and
Mhm.
then the other one is 29 for Chris Carpenter,
Yes.
who is from the area, I guess. But
He is a
what's
Manchester
ironic to
native.
me is that Chris Carpenter came up with the Blue Jays, but definitely did not play in New Hampshire because it was long before the Jays had their affiliation with the Fisher Cats.
They were in New Haven before. Well, actually, no. The franchise came from New Haven,
Yes,
but they were when they first went to Manchester. They were not a Blue Jays affiliate.
I want to say that Carpenter probably played for Knoxville at one point. At one point, the Double A affiliate was Knoxville.
He got it for being a Manchester guy.
Yeah, that's cool too.
It was kind of a neat way to look at it. I think more minor league teams should do stuff like that. That's kind of neat. You kind of missed some of the ballpark first opened. Ted Williams hitting Hall of Fame was located there. The one that is now in Tampa.
Okay,
It was like a satellite location of the Ted Williams Hitters Hall of Fame
nice.
at Delta Dental. So kind of
Um,
neat.
tell me about chicken nuggets or
You
chicken
know,
tenders. Excuse
and
me.
yep, and actually, I just updated the review of this ballpark, and I gave them an extra point for all of their alternate identities, and that might be a good way to close off this podcast because they have three alternate identities. The first one is the original name of the franchise. So when Manchester was awarded an Eastern League franchise, they were not going to be called the Fisher Cats. They were going to be called the far superior New Hampshire Primaries. And if you look this up, their logo, love this logo, love this name. It was a map of the state of New Hampshire with an elephant and a donkey back to back, like in the '80s sitcom buddy style, back to back. It's a fantastic, fantastic logo, and I wish they would have. And every once in a while, they'll trot it out. And every time I go there, I look at it. I say, I gotta buy this, and I don't know why, but I've never pulled the trigger on it because I can't find the one I want with the elephant and the donkey. They have another one with Uncle Sam with a bat slung over his shoulder, and he's pointing like he's calling a home run. That one's good, but it's not the one I want. So I haven't picked up the primaries. That's that was their first alternate identity. Then they went with the chicken. Is it the chicken nuggets? Is
Chicken
it just that
tenders, I
simple?
think.
Chicken tenders, yes. Now, why are they called the chicken tenders? This is a piece of trivia I didn't know about. This came out a few years ago, I think 3 years ago. Manchester is the birthplace of the chicken tender.
Apparently.
Apparently, I didn't know that. I don't know any of the backstory. That's all I know. You now have all the information I have.
Okay.
And this year they came out with a third alternate identity. The what is it? The space potatoes.
Space potatoes.
Is it space potatoes?
I have no idea.
I
This is all
believe it is
news
the
to
space
me.
potatoes. Yes. Now, what in the world is a space potato? I got this from the website. It's because New Hampshire is famous for the crop of potatoes, as many of your northern rocky territory states are. Maine, Idaho, a lot of those states grow a lot of potatoes. New Hampshire, one of them. They grow a lot of potatoes there. And the very first widespread publicized case of alien abduction happened in New Hampshire.
Ah,
So if you look at the logo for the space potatoes, it's a potato freaking out, being abducted, sucked up into a spaceship.
that's crazy.
So those are their alternate identities, and they
You
are
know,
just
that's
fantastic.
kind of like New Hampshire, right? Like because they're taking two things that don't really go together and they're mashing them together, space potatoes. Just like Fisher cats, right? Like a Fisher is not a cat. And I don't know how they put Fisher cats together,
A
but
Fisher cat doesn't eat fish, not rarely eats fish, and it is not a cat. It's not related to a cat at all.
no,
I always thought a Fisher cat was an otter. It is not an otter.
no.
Kind of an otter. It's most closely related to a marten.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a marten is.
You know what? If you think of it like it's like a badger, it's like
Yeah,
Fisher is in that kind of badger. What
yeah.
mustelid.
Yeah, it's
whatever
called.
that
Yeah,
is.
it's more
These
commonly called a fisher. I have
giant
heard
squirrels.
them. I have heard them. If you live in the woods in the north, in Canada or the northern U.S., you've heard of fisher. They make these awful screeching noises. Mean animals. But that's what a fisher cat is. Why would you want to name your team after them? I don't know. They're not warm and cuddly, but but you
Whatever.
know what? But you know what? The fisher cats have two mascots. They have Fungo and they have somebody else. I'm blanking on the other one. And the staff works hard. They make it fun for the kids. They've got all the typical stuff. They got you know, stupid games in between each period. The last game I went to was Princesses Day. They had 6 or 7 Disney princesses. Happened to have my granddaughter there, and I said, "Look at all the princesses." And she rattled off. She's 5 years old. Rattled off all 6 or 7 of them right away. She knew who they all were. So, so it's very kid friendly. So they do that. They got lots of deals. That's how they get the Red Sox fans in. And there's a little pocket of Toronto fans now in New Hampshire. Too.
I would think so.
So that's our look at I almost said the whole name at Delta Dental Stadium in Manchester, New Hampshire. Hope you enjoyed our look at the ballpark, and hope it's encouraged you to go out and visit yourself to lovely Manchester, New Hampshire someday. So thanks for joining us, and thanks for hanging with us for our hiatus. So, cheers.
Cheers.